Hey, thanks for watching this. I had a great conversation today with Noz Urbina of Urbina Consulting. He is in Spain, so we had a great Skype interview, and we talked about his company, we talked about LavaCon, his presentation at LavaCon, and then we geeked out about a couple of things, and you'll see some text messages in there on the link that you can skip forward if you don't want too much detail on that. So, hope you enjoy the interview. Thanks. And so, thanks for being here. I'm Matt Sullivan, and welcome to the TechCom Tools podcast. I'm here with Noz Urbina, who is a content strategist, a consultant. He's a trainer. He runs Urbina Consulting, and then he's also involved with the Congility conference. I believe that's over in Europe, isn't it, Noz?
Yes, based in the UK.
Now, what's for Congility? What's their main focus? Because I've never really known that much about. I don't get a chance to go to many conferences on even the East Coast, so I haven't made it over to Europe yet. Tell me a little bit about Congility.
Congility is a very forward-looking conference. It's one of the first in Europe, definitely. Well, no, it was the first in Europe to really become a content strategy conference, looking at communication as a discipline as opposed to marketing or technical communication.
Okay.
There's a long history in tech comms. It started off as an XML publishing conference for technical communicators.
Okay.
But it kind of, from its inaugural year, it became very clear it was actually a content strategy conference.
Okay.
Because the year one theme was XML. What's the ROI? Like it was straight into the business and strategy perspective of technical communications and XML. Yeah. And then we found that the XML thing was too limiting. So we moved to the Congility name, which is about putting together content and business agility and content with agility. Okay. So we're looking at breaking down silos and getting content future-proofed. So it's a lot of fun because you get such a diverse array of opinions in the room, and we get some really good minds because we've done some pretty excellent networking over the years to get contacts.
All right, I'm smiling because I've got a neighborhood of yapping dogs that all of a sudden went crazy on this end. So we'll see we'll see how that comes out in the recording there. But so cool. So you've got the Congility. Looks like it's going well, and that looks like a great dovetail for the LavaCon conference over here. Yeah.
Yeah. Sure.
Cool.
Absolutely. No, LavaCon's a favorite of mine.
Yep.
I've only been going there for, I think it's been 4 years now. This is going to be my fourth year. Okay. And, I've absolutely loved it. Everyone has been great. Yeah. It's a great audience, great event. And also, I know that Jack Molesani is trying to do a similar idea of breaking down barriers and not really worrying so much about roles and titles and really focusing on what is the best for the organization and how can content professionals mold themselves to do that.
Right. Yeah, and LavaCon's been great for bringing together people that have, decision and signature control over projects rather than looking at a specific agenda or, working in the trenches, so to speak. It's the folks that are making the decision about which trenches we should actually be building and, how's that all going to happen. Great.
Yeah, I think when you move to a more strategic focus, when you start becoming more of a content strategy conference, that naturally starts to happen. We saw the same thing with Congility.
Perfect. Yeah. So your session is billed as integrating our online and offline worlds. So knowing that the titles are short, the topics are broad, the descriptions are way too short to give it justice. What are you thinking about, or at least what's your plan right now you're going to have a lot of flex, that's for sure. So what's going to be your general theme? What was your thought when you pitched that to Jack?
Well, I've got a bit of a thing going at LavaCon conferences. I've been a keynote each year I've been, and it's been a very supportive environment for me to really kind of do some thought leading. So I push the envelope when I'm there. So what the integrating online and offline world is about is looking at communication from the very, very big picture. Okay. I'm going to go way beyond the 10,000-foot view, which I usually take, to the kind of stratosphere view, and look at how communication is changing from the very beginnings of communication to where we are today, and with a focus on what the impact of things like wearable technologies, augmented reality, and the Internet of Things will have on different types of communicators.
Okay, very cool. Yeah, the Internet of Things is that's kind of a fun one. I've got. Have you heard of is it Ninja Blocks? Have you run across that product yet?
I think I did a little while ago. What remind me again?
So it's basically like it's probably best described as like the hub for a smart home. And so you get this. It's
kind of like Nest.
Yes, but a little bit less commercial. So this is more Kickstarter. Yep. Just bare bones, and they actually expect you to just hack the hell out of it. It's that whole. And I'm not much of a programmer. I'm not a programmer. So for me, it looks lovely in a box right now.
You got one. Good for you.
I did, and they're pretty cheap. So they're only a couple $100. And then on the flip side of that, there's about a 4 or 5 month wait for these things. They can't produce them fast enough. So if you like to get your hands into the code, they encourage that and have an entire system where you can purchase products from them that will integrate easily, but not at like the Nest level where this stuff is all like $15 for a thermostat control and $20 for a motion sensor, and then you just plug and play and you put in whatever you want and program the code, put it on your smartphone, and I don't know. Did I mention it sits in the box?
I think I'm seeing this lovely renaissance of really kind of nerdy tech.
Yeah.
We went through a bad period, I would say 5-10 years ago.
Yeah.
Where there was this I call it the dark side of Apple, which is that Apple is given a lot of credit for their spreading of computation far and wide, but they're also very good at making everyone really lazy.
Yeah.
And there was this period where the universities were going, no one wants to learn how to build or code this stuff anymore.
Because it's already done. Yeah.
Yeah, everyone wants to be a user, and everyone wants everything to just kind of like open it up and stuff happens. But now I think the Kickstarter and 3D printing and I don't know if you're familiar with Raspberry Pi.
I'm not sure. I may have Raspberry Pi in this product. Yeah, it's all that stuff that they run on Instructables. If you looked at Instructables.com, and that's just everything's do it yourself, and that's kind of where we end up. Well, you were at the the front edge of that content strategy push, and you and Sarah and everybody that works in that space, to kind of craft that out of a million other different descriptions. Yeah. And so, there's a little bit of that in everybody, I think.
So, I think that's all going to kind of play in. I'm going to be looking at what the integrating the online and offline worlds is about. Is what happens when culture and technology and the online and the offline world don't have a separation. Anymore. I've been talking to people about what the what augmented reality is and what the Internet of Things implies, and I'm realizing how hard it is to even wrap your head around the implications.
Yeah,
I think people are not accustomed to the idea of not only freeing content from rigid monolithic pages. Now we're asking them to free it from screens.
Right.
Now we're asking them to free content from the very basic interfaces and concepts that they hold on to make sense of content. So before we were talking about breaking a book mentality or breaking a web page mentality. Now we're looking at breaking the page mentality to the point where there's literally no page.
Right. And device mentality. Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah. Moving it away from a device mentality. Yeah.
Exactly. When we're talking about wearables and augmented reality, for me, what becomes interesting is that you are no longer building navigation structures per se, like the kind of the site nav and the table of contents that web and technical communicators are used to, that goes completely away.
Right.
It's kind of like imagining that the only way to get at any of your content was Google. Like the only way to get to your content was search.
Right.
But there's no search either. The way that I try to explain it is that what the Internet of Things is trying to do is make it so that there is no search operation per se. The user doesn't say, oh, I need to know something. Where can I go find out where that information is? The user does, and the information appears. So the action is the query. By doing, I'm querying information at the same time. The system looks at what I'm doing. They know how, they know my age. They know how long I've had the product. They can see what task I'm doing at the moment, and then the appropriate information is made available. So my day-to-day life, walking down the street, opening a device, taking off a protective cover on a motor, all these acts tell computers this is the information which you should surface right now. And it's such a different paradigm that a lot of people who have been working in this industry for a while have a lot of change adaptation to do.
Yeah. Well, two things struck me as you were saying that, and great description, because I think that was the reason that this surfaced is the Internet of Things is going to rely a bit more on, rather than our table of contents to allow us to use search or TOC for, or even index to provide context, but it's those things that are around us that will provide that context for us and then provide the information that's needed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now you mentioned the engine cover and that have you seen the BMW mechanic demo?
Yeah, I've been showing that since 2007.
Yeah. Yeah, isn't that great? As the mechanic goes, they're recognizing everything. For those that are not familiar with it, recognizing the different parts of the engine and the actions and the tools that the mechanic's using to prompt them through those steps. It's it's amazing. It's
the way forward. I think that what I'm going to focus on is the role of metadata, which I think is one of the most commonly talked about but least understood areas. It's the importance of metadata is coming up equal to the importance of the content, because there is no way to find or utilize the content anymore without metadata. Once you remove the TOC, or once you remove the page navigation, metadata is the only way you find anything.
Yeah, context.
So, yeah. I think people think about the Internet of Things backwards. They kind of think of the Internet kind of being connected to more bits and pieces. Your TV will be connected to the Internet, and your washing machine and your printer will all be connected to the Internet. And that's true. But the important part to realize is that we are now on the Internet. It's not that we have an Internet of Things. Is that we're literally living in the Internet, and that we shouldn't think of the Internet and day-to-day life as two separate options. Like we go online, and we go from our real-world space to our virtual space, or our information space, as some people like to say. That whole idea is going away. Information is just part of life now. It's just part of the physical world. In the same way something has weight, it has its content. It's a physical property of all things now.
Huh.
Or
interesting.
Very soon to be.
Yeah.
So what happens to people when they have to live at internet speed? That's going to be the big topic of my talk.
And then you start getting Orwellian, and then you look at you've got all the Terminator stuff, and what happens when that one corporation goes rogue, and oh boy.
I'm going to avoid that stuff.
Let's keep that one out of your presentation.
I'm going to skip it. Although I was tempted, because there's this great video by IBM. I don't know if you've seen it. They released it a couple days ago.
No, I haven't.
It's about what they call the Synapse computer, and they've used the brain's cellular architecture to develop a new computer architecture.
Oh.
So, yeah, I know. Okay, so check this out. So, you have more and more data, and the way the computers work now is, I'm going to de-geek this because we were geeking out a second ago, so I don't want to go back there.
Yeah.
But I think most people have heard of the idea of processor and memory in a computer.
Sure.
These are two different things in a computer. And what the problem with that is that you've got to pass the information back and forth all the time between the processor and the memory.
Right. Okay.
That creates a lot of heat, and it takes time. The brain doesn't do that. The processor bits and the memory bits are one
Same
architecture.
Thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So what IBM has done is they built a computer based on that architecture.
There you go.
So it's it's self-adaptive, and it's designed to be able to do things like much more abstract pattern recognition and develop human senses, so that it can look at things and smell things and hear things and understand what they mean.
Oh, there's no way to get pessimistic about this technology.
Exactly. I was very tempted to take the video.
What could go wrong?
I wanted to take the video because you've got, of course, this IBM spokesperson speaking about how it's going to be great healthcare.
This is going to be great.
Stuff. I wanted to take the Terminator images and have the robots shooting in the background.
Yeah, this is the Matrix right here. I mean,
yeah. So I think
Mr.
I'm going to resist the presentation properly. So this is like the director's cut of my presentation. This interview right here.
Yeah, exactly. Don't go watch this before the presentation. Do it after. So that was good. We got a chance to talk about your presentation over at LavaCon. It sounds like you might have some other interesting stuff going on. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Okay, so it's a time of reflection and reassessment over at Urbina Consulting. End of our first year, going well.
Congratulations.
Yeah, succeeding on the kind of mission that the company was founded on, which was looking at the communications industry, not worrying about whether it's TechCom or Marcom, but looking at complex communication problems that enterprise has and addressing them in a strategic way. So, kind of in my review of how things have been going, where the market's going, and especially where I think the market is going to go. I can talk about the fact that I'm thinking about my next book.
Excellent.
Yes, very exciting stuff.
Good.
So the meta thesis, the thing I've been talking about without directly saying it, I think for the past couple of years and in many of my presentations, has been about a few things. Preparing for the future, this agility and adaptability concept. How can we be making content more intelligent so that it can be agile, so that it can be adaptable to all the different devices that are coming? How do you actually do that? Because we tend to do a lot of saying without explaining in this industry. I find it kind of a bit painful sometimes. I meet people who've been in this industry for years, and we've all been having discussions about what structured content is, et cetera, but very few people actually properly explain the point.
Yeah.
What is structured content?
This is what you should do, but this is actually why you want to do this.
Yeah. Well, and even what is the you should do? So we should make content structured, and people go, oh yeah, structured content.
That sounds good.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Everyone's been saying that's a good idea. But what does that mean? Okay. Yeah. And now we have a new term, adaptive content, which is very dear to my heart.
Yep.
Which is again getting a lot of mileage. People are talking about it. They're talking about adaptive design as opposed to responsive design, which you may have heard of. And what I'd like to focus the book on is adaptive content and the why we must do it, how to do it. So, what I kind of specialize in, which is relatable explanations of these hard, difficult concepts. And very much the kind of mind shift. What I'm seeing now, as I was talking about the Internet of Things in my presentation, what I'm seeing, my mission is in the market is not to teach people all the nitty-gritty of implementation details, because I think that there's other people who are quite good at that. What I think that I'm bringing to the party, and which I'd like to focus myself on, is training people on how they should think about things. So it's the mindset changes that are actually the most challenging. Because once you've changed your mindset, then doing is so much easier.
Right.
But learning a concept and trying to apply it when you're still applying your old mindset, that's really hard. And I think that's what holds this industry back. So that's where I'll be focusing on, is kind of brain training for content. You could put it that way.
Cool.
Yeah. How do we think about content differently? How do we rebuild our model of what content is in our minds so that it's a future-proof model that'll get us ready for the Internet of Things and wearable technologies and adaptive content and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. Excellent.
No title yet. Well, no public title yet.
Okay. You won't give us that much, huh?
No, I've already given you more than I intended to.
Well, I appreciate that. All right. Well, good. Well, I look forward to seeing you in October, and we'll have to do more than pass in the conference hall and go, hey, how you doing?
Yes,
so
absolutely.
Yeah, and this is it. As I've been saying as I do these interviews, my problem going to this conference is going to be getting the inside's pitch on why these people want to give presentations. Which ones do I go to? And
yeah,
it's going to be rough. And I imagine that yours. It sounds like. Are you doing a keynote for Jack again this year?
Yeah, so you don't have a choice for mine. So
okay, yeah. Well, you'll have one of those, but I would imagine you'll also have. It sounds like this might be one of the ones for his virtual track. So.
Well, I'm also doing a breakout session at LavaCon and a workshop.
Okay. Cool. Okay.
So
good. I'll have plenty of opportunities.
Exactly. So the workshop is actually going to be on adaptive content. So a lot of concepts, but it will be much more hands-on. People are really liking that workshop.
Good.
And then the breakout session is a bit more practical and applied than the keynote. So keynote is an opportunity for me really to do the kind of the thinking bit and the big picture stuff and where is the industry going. Breakout sessions, I like to get a bit more practical. And then workshops, we get to get really down and dirty and hands-on.
Cool. All right.
So I'll be doing. Well,
let's we'll go ahead and wrap this up. I'll be respectful of your European time right now. We're coming up on 7:00 over there, I think.
Yep.
So
and I'm in Spain, so it's like 400 degrees.
Oof. And well, you're just getting ready for your siesta, so you can go out and do like your 11:00 dinners, all right?
Yes, absolutely.
Well, when you think of it, or as you think of it, feel free to throw some some web addresses and descriptions of some of the things that we talked about, and I'd be happy to put them into the write-up and put links below the interview on YouTube and for the blog post for this.
Sure. Yeah. Cool. I'll look forward to it.
All right. Well, it was good getting a conversation in with you, and I'll look forward to seeing you in October.
My pleasure. Look forward to seeing you too, and thanks everybody for tuning in.
All right.
Cheers.